evening, fellow classmates and instructor. This is Roxanne Hope, and today my persuasive speech is going to be why we still need to have skin test. Reason why I've chosen that topic is because in America, we have a very low incidence of active TB. And the numbers have been going down consistently. And I would like to share this with you. I hope you're able to see it. And this tells that within the last 3 decades, the numbers have been declining consistently. So I just wanted to let you know that. Now, TB skin test. I'm sure everyone is familiar with what TB is. It's a bacterial infection of the lung. You can also have it in the joints, in the kidney, in the brain. So that is what you get, the skin test. I'm sure you're familiar with your children having it, or even you having the skin test. Now this here is a slide that's telling you about TB and showing you the lungs, and the lungs getting infected with the Mycobacterium bacteria organism that causes TB. Now, I would like to discuss briefly the symptoms of TB. The symptoms of TB are as follows. They are weight loss, decreased appetite, spitting up blood, fever, persistent coughing. And these are symptoms that sometimes are looked over. Someone may think that you just have a cold, but those are the symptoms for TB. And if someone is coughing consistently for over a period of 3 weeks, that needs to be investigated, because you want to know why is it persistent. It does not necessarily have to be TB, but it needs to be ruled out. Okay, in discussing the TB skin test that I'm saying is needed, now that the numbers are low for the exposure and the positive cases, the healthcare department, CDC, and all the other healthcare facilities do not want it to be taken for granted and people not having skin tests done. The annual skin test is very important. One thing to know about TB, you can be carrying that organism in your system and not have any symptoms for months. So that is why it's very important to have that skin test done. There are different types of TB. There's what they call the bacterial, the Mycobacterium TB. Then they have what they call the latent TB. And then they also have what is called the drug-resistant TB. So I would like, of course, my slides, I went ahead of myself. I will get to that slide. Anyhow, I would like to explain a couple of things when it comes to discussing the latent TB, the resistant one, and the Mycobacterium. One, the latent, you can have it for a period of time and not be diagnosed. Then there's one with that it is resistant to just about all the drugs they use. And then the other one is the organism that they treat. It takes a very long time to treat this disease. And this slide here addresses the Mycobacterium organism TB and the latent TB, the one that you will have the germ in your body, but you cannot spread it because it's not active in your system. So anyone can get a TB skin test. They can be told it is positive. It does not arbitrarily mean that you have it. But again, my reason for doing this is to make sure that we do not take things for granted and get slack on getting that TB skin test, because it is eradicated, but it is not dead. That organism is still around. So we need to make sure that you are up on it, especially with your kids in school and daycare and things like that. It is very important. And here this speaks about the skin test. And the skin test, you know, is the little bubble that they put under your skin and tell you to come back in 2 to 3 days to have it read. That is usually what is done, the first line screening for TB. TB is like any other respiratory infection, like the COVID or anything that is respiratory that you can get from droplets, where a mask is the first line of defense. And here it is, I'm showing you the young lady wearing a mask. Let us make sure when a mask is being worn that your nose is covered. You have to make sure of that because you can still breathe in droplets that are in the air. And this slide here, it addresses the different risk factors for TB. People with diabetes, not only diabetes, most people with these pre-existing conditions, things like chronic illnesses like TB and stuff, it's very easy for them to get it. So like with diabetics, you have to make sure that you're really on top of your game to really protect you from different things that you are prone to. So this graph here, it tells us these here are the people with diabetes, and it shows you. Now, let me skip ahead and tell you one thing. TB is very high amongst people who are not born in America, because third world countries and Eastern Europe and those places, TB is still prevalent. Although the World Health Organization has stated that there is a decline around the world, but it is still very high in Asia and certain parts of Africa. So when you are exposed to someone who has just traveled and you notice they're doing a lot of coughing, they're not saying they're not feeling well, because if it is TB, the symptoms have not kicked in, but they're doing a lot of coughing and you know they have just come back from where their home is, it is suggested that you go to your doctor and ask for a TB skin test, and you can tell them why. But yes, this is a graph that addresses, and the other class of people who are very prone to TB are people who are HIV positive. And again, that is because the immune system is suppressed, which makes you makes it easier for you to get TB. So there it speaks of that group of people. So that is that slide. Now let me show you this here. This slide here, you know, everything that we do and we see goes to your ethnicity. It goes to your demographics. And this pie addresses the different people in America and the percentage to be infected. For the Asian community, it's 36%. For the Hispanic, for the Black community, it's 20%. For the white community, it's 11%. So again, that is based on your demographic and ethnicity. Now, we're looking at this here, and they're speaking about the different risk factors. And again, all of this that I'm saying goes back to not getting slack and getting that TB skin test, because it is out there. The CDC has put it out there. The government has put it out there. Our numbers in America are low as pertaining to the rest of the world, really. So let's not get too comfortable with that and still know the importance of getting that TB skin test done. Now, these are the people who are at high risk for getting TB. You have excessive alcohol use, non-injection drug use, homelessness. Now, when we say people who are homeless are prone to getting any kind of airborne pathogen infection, because it's a sort of communal living. And anytime you have that, as it is said, you're in my space. You don't have any space. So we're all breathing in the same air. So that is why people who are homeless are really prone and going shelters and things like that. And again, it also goes back to migrants, because they tend to live larger numbers in a smaller surface, a smaller apartment or home, whatever, and that makes them at a high risk also for TB. Now here it speaks of TB incident rates and percentage by origin. Okay, the non-US born, and again, we said that people who are not American born people are high risk. So here it says they are 72% at risk for TB, and US born people are at 28%. So again, it's a persuasive speech, and the question can be asked, what does that have? I am arguing the point that we cannot get slack in getting skin tests done annually. And remember, especially with our little people. But then again, I think the school system and daycares, they demand that you get that TB skin test. Children going away to college, it is very important that they get the skin test. Let us keep our numbers where they are and not have them increase. We don't want our numbers to go up. We want to have that continuous decline in numbers. So I hope I have been able to let this, for you to understand the importance of doing the skin test, although TB is just about less than 20% of people who were infected. And these were stats from 2020, that the numbers they saw, the graph showed the continuous decline. Thank you very much.